What's going on, Flicks Talkers? Welcome back to another movie review, this time for the film Fatal Affair, starring Nia Long and Omar Epps. But before I get into all of that, make sure you guys are hitting that thumbs up if you guys do appreciate movie content like this, as well as hitting that subscribe and bell notification for more. Alright, now Fatal Affair did release on July 16, 2020. It is a Netflix original film, and it is directed by Peter Sullivan. Now, Peter Sullivan did A Secret Obsession, which also came out last year, and it's in the same vein of this type of crime, romance, dramatic type of film genre. And before I get into my likes and my dislikes for this film, let me give you the quick synopsis for Fatal Affair. Ellie tries to mend her marriage with her husband Marcus after a brief encounter with their old friend David, only to find out that David is more dangerous and unstable than she realized. Alright guys, so right off the bat, I'm going to let you guys know you have to be into films like this, like Obsession, like Acrimony, like a couple of the other Tyler Perry orchestrated Netflix, thriller romantic films that you see directly on streaming. You have to be a fan of stuff like that. And my girlfriend and I are fans of films like this. Now, I'll let you guys know why, because usually they are background movies. We know what they are. They are very self-aware. The acting is usually over the top and the situations are not realistic. I mean, it wouldn't be a situation that I would ever get myself into, or if I did get myself into it, I would handle it differently. So you're constantly, like my buddy Elliot at Movie File said, yelling at your screen saying to do something completely different. So you do have to kind of be aware of that when you turn on Fatal Affair. So let's jump into my likes of this film, and it starts with the cast of Nia Long playing Ellie Warner. Grew up on Nia Long. She was in part of some of my favorite films growing up, a huge part of my movie watching experience in the 90s. So Nia Long still looks fantastic. She's still a great actress. And in this film, she is someone who is a mother. And, she's finally settling in with a career, with a good husband, with a good, household around her. Her house is phenomenal, by the way. It's actually up north from me a couple of hours, and the landscape is beautiful. She's living her best life, and she's finally made it, quote unquote, as far as, being level-headed. She's, really set in stone with, I've got everything I can finally breathe. She mentions it in the movie that she can finally breathe. So all the weight's off of her shoulders as far as worrying about, living stress-free. So she has achieved that. But unfortunately, and we're jumping over to Omar Epps' character who plays David Heyman, he does enter her life, and after 20 years of not seeing each other, he is the one that is the antagonist of the film, who becomes the obsessive, old fling that could have been. And we do see some of that in the beginning of this film, but it becomes almost a psychological and frightening, if I might say, situation that they get themselves entangled in. And I'm going to use that word entanglement a lot since it's being thrown around recently. So there is a lot of that going on with those two characters. But Nia Long lets it be known that, hey, you know what? I don't want anything to do with you. And Omar Epps does not like that. So ultimately, we have our manipulation game where, Omar Epps as David manipulates Ellie's friends, trying to break up her happy home there. So you get a lot of those situations that you would typically see in a Lifetime thriller movie like this. So once again, you're going into it kind of knowing what to expect. And I was fine with that because for the most part, I was more intrigued with the situations as well as the acting. And I thought Omar Epps and Nia Long kicked ass. No problem with that whatsoever. They have on-screen chemistry, from previous films that they've worked on. And I think that they're bar none. They're still on top of their game. And they don't look like they've aged too much. So to me, they are seasoned vets. So I think if anything, I would give my likes to the performances of this film. Nia Long is a bit dramatic in certain situations where it doesn't even need to be dramatic. She's very, very teary-eyed. And I understand, when someone's hunting you down, yeah, you get hysterical. But there were certain points where I would have played it off a little bit differently, or I know my girlfriend would play it off a little differently, to keep things under wraps. But she was very emotional in scenes, and she let it be very apparent. So that was the only thing that I didn't, I kind of had some gripes with. Now, jumping to the dislikes, and there's probably a little more dislikes for this film than there are likes for me. was the predictability of everything. I knew when someone was going to come back. I knew when someone was looking in the bushes, waiting for her. I knew, the next move, the next scene. I knew kind of everything that was coming. Once again, that is totally fine because this was an afternoon movie watch for me. It wasn't anything I was going out to spend money on. It wasn't anything, that I desperately wanted to watch. That's why I caught it today on a Sunday. I waited for a few days just to hear a couple of people's reviews, but it wasn't at the top of my watch list. So don't break your head trying to go make some time for Fatal Affair. It's not that serious, guys. But other than that, dislikes is probably all the side characters. The husband that plays Marcus Warner, Stephen Bishop, he was okay as a supporting cast, but once again, just mediocre, as well as Brittany Warner, played by Aubrey Cleveland, as the daughter who went away to college. She was okay. I mean, when they showed her on screen, she was just an okay actress to me, and that's not to say that, these are bad actresses or actors. I just don't know enough for their work to even see how many films they have under their belt, but because Omar Epps and Nia Long they're just standouts to me. And Omar Epps, as an obsessive compulsive person that has anger management issues, he nailed it. I was totally really fearful of him in some of the situations. If anything, I probably would have said amp it up a little more because he was probably dialed up to about an 8 in certain scenes, but man, you got to push it to 11. You got to let the audience know that we need to fear you. You're a menace. You're someone to be reckoned with. Remember, man, you are Q in juice. Just put yourself in that mindset, okay, with the gun. So I got vibes of Juice, especially towards the end of the film, and I'm not going to say which scene. You will catch it if you guys have seen Juice. But back to this film, Fatal Affair. Do I recommend it? Yeah, I mean, if you guys are into this, once again, if you're totally not into these type of films, a lot of Tyler Perry films, a lot of these Lifetime-y, just a little more edgy, because I haven't seen a Lifetime movie in such a long time, but I know they're kind of dialed down a little bit for TV. But if you guys do like that subject nature of psychological thrillers, a lot of manipulation, especially when it comes to couples and, people cheating on each other and stuff like that, I think you might have a good time with this because the roles are a little bit reversed. It's usually the woman that's obsessed with the man and she's trying to break up his home and his relationship. And on the flip side, we get David, played by Omar Epps, who is doing that. So it was a little refreshing kind of seeing the roles reversed a little bit because there are psychos out there like this. So that was the only thing. And especially, I really like the environment, I'm not sure 100% the city it was, but it was just south of San Francisco. They were really close, but they were on the beach. Maybe like that San Jose or Santa Cruz area or something like that. But it was really close and it was, on the coast. So it's pretty much in my backyard here, and it was refreshing seeing, movies taking place here in California. So I did enjoy it for that, like I said. And if I got to give it an overall score, guys, I'm probably going with a 2.5 out of 5, saying it's a one and done movie. The ending was just kind of an ending movie. It wasn't anything spectacular, and the predictability level was just through the roof. I knew it was going to happen, but I was still, just laying on the couch, just kind of very entertained at what I was seeing in certain situations. So because of that, 2.5 out of 5, saying take a chance on it, but beware. All right, guys, have you seen Fatal Affair? Do you plan to see it based on my recommendation? Please give me a thumbs up if you did appreciate my review, and make sure you're hitting that subscribe and bell notification for more movie content like this. Please follow me on my social medias. They're all down below. And if you guys can, jump into some of my live chats that I have sporadically throughout the week. That's why it's very imperative that you guys hit that bell notification in the subscribe button. All right, guys? Till next time, I'm gone. Peace.